Patrick Vellner.
What's up?
Tell me, so not just, but a few hours ago, we watched you do 22.1. So the workout, AMRAP 15, 3 wall climbs, 12 alternating dumbbell snatches, and 15 box jump overs. The twist in the workout was that you couldn't jump down; you had to step down. So, what were your initial thoughts when you heard the workout?
I think initially we were trying to figure out. Just go through any questions that I could come up with about standards or where you might gain an advantage or what sort of things you might lose reps for. I think it was important to play with that box jump over, step down, and try to find a rhythm. If you're going to keep going, typically when I do box jump overs, I always turn the same direction.
Yeah.
But because it's a pretty long workout and a lot of moving in a circle, you're doing lots of rounds. I was trying to figure out if I could change direction, do one rep turning one direction, one rep turning the other direction, just so you're not always stepping down on one leg and messing up your one hamstring pretty bad or something.
Yeah.
So playing with some different movement strategies on the box, I figured would be important. Dumbbell snatch is pretty straightforward, and the wall walk standard is the same. Do one or two of those just to make sure that my rhythm was fine and I was okay. But I think really it was like, that's the new movement, and it's making sure that you're comfortable and you can feel with when you have to step down, it sort of changes it. It changes the rhythm completely, and it makes it so it kind of takes away some of that momentum and rhythm, and it almost breaks the movement every single rep.
Yeah.
So figuring out how to take that break and find some sort of rhythm in the movement and figure out, okay, when I get my second foot down, jumping right back on the box or whatever your routine's going to be, just figure out what the routine's going to look like there.
Yeah.
Because it's unfamiliar. And that's the only thing. It won't be as automatic because it's something new.
So what you're saying is that when it's a routine workout, it's really about getting into the zone. Tell me, when you were announced the workout, did you what were you thinking? Were you thinking my shoulders are going to blow out, my calves are going to go, my hamstrings are going to go? What was your thought of what the workout would be, and how did that translate to what it actually was?
I think I thought initially that my shoulders would get more tired than they did.
Okay.
And I think I was expecting it to be a little bit hard on your low back, given all the hinging and the snatch and all the box jump overs, especially if you're staying in a low crouch, which is what I was going to plan on doing for the whole workout. So I was surprised when we got halfway through or so how little your shoulders were a factor.
Okay.
I think I found that the wall walks there's only 3 every round, and most of the time in each round is spent on the snatch and the box jump over. So by the time you get back to that movement, your shoulders aren't that tired. So that sort of tricep extension pushing back is not really that tired. It doesn't fatigue quickly. So I think it's important to use your hinge, use your hips in the snatch to save your shoulders a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was more of a back and legs stimulus, and it was a lot of lungs and legs for us. And I don't know if altitude plays a bit of a role in that, but it was a lot of heavy breathing, and it felt like being able to come back and be confident that your shoulders were fine. I learned that kind of partway through, that it wasn't breaking down, and you could kind of get back and get right back on the wall walks pretty quickly without taking too much break between reps. Get through the 3 pretty quickly, bank some time, and try to be smooth on the snatch, because that was almost like your break to take big breaths, do a nice almost kettlebell swing movement. You stand tall, get your big breaths there, because that's almost the smoothest movement you do in the workout. And then the box step over or step downs are a bit choppy. And I found that, my hamstrings and legs got really tired there. And it was more about discipline of making sure you don't stand for 2 seconds between reps, especially in those later rounds. Your legs get tired and your heart rate's high. And that was it was discipline there for sure.
And equipment wise, Pat, I know that there's this very specific setup that they've given athletes, but equipment wise, would you recommend a soft box or a wooden box?
That's a good question. I didn't know that they had actually given us a floor setup, but I usually prefer a hard box. I'm pretty confident in where I'm placing my feet. Even if you might have seen when I was doing it tonight, like I
Yeah.
put my one foot only almost a half off the box so I can slide it off and get a foot plant right away. And it helps me stay really relaxed and almost like floppy in that box jump when you have to come down anyway. A soft box gives you that little bit of cushion to do that. But if you're not very confident in where you're placing your feet, you'll flip the box because they have a little bit less weight and they have a little bit less structure, right? So I do think that a stiff box when you're tired, you don't want to catch the box and fall. It'll hurt your shins, but don't plan on falling. I think that the step down takes away a little bit of that risk. But you do have to be careful because you're going to probably place your feet pretty close to the edge to make the step down easier.
Yeah.
So that's why practicing that movement, I think, is really helpful. Yeah. I would probably use a step box.
Yeah. I was looking at your guys's, Noah's and yours, foot twisting on the box, and I kept looking at the fabric twisting with you, and I was like, that looks like it's adding a lot of strain to the movement. And then you would kind of get like caught with the rubber of your feet and the fabric of the
I caught my feet a few times. I think the last rep or a few reps on several different rounds, I almost hooked a foot and almost fell over. So I think you do avoid a bit of that on a wood box.
I have one last question for you, and then I'll let you have a celebration dinner.
Sure.
Mentally, what are the things that athletes need to kind of do to stay sharp? Because to me, that looks like a workout that you can kind of lose yourself a little bit. Like, where do you think the sticking point is mentally where you kind of have to re-engage yourself in the game? And what would you recommend for that?
It's any workout that is that many rounds, 10 plus rounds, where you're doing the same movement, it feels sort of like you're spinning in a circle. I think doing it where I did it is nice because I know I've got another athlete there who's also very strong. And so if you're keeping pace with them, you're doing all right. And so I actually thought it was funny. If I was at home, I would have probably been paying a lot more attention to the clock and figured out roughly how long a round was taking me and tried to set targets like that. So I know, okay, every whatever it is, every 2 rounds, that's 3 minutes. I should be staying around that. And then it gives you like something to look up at and be like, oh, I've lost 3 seconds off my pace. I'm good. Oh, I was a bit fast on those ones. It gives you something to check in on because it's boring and it becomes automatic. You have to sort of zone out and stay automatic. But when you do that, it's sometimes hard to feel if you slowed down by 5 seconds in a round or if you sped up by 5 seconds in a round. And it's not always the smartest thing to do what the person next to you is doing. So I think I spent less time I was in like a semi-competitive environment and I was paying more attention to the athlete next to me than I maybe would if I was doing this by myself for, a ideal open performance. I think you're setting time goals, time markers is probably smart, even if it means testing a full round at the start and just saying like, before you start, do a full round and say, okay, that full round took me 90 seconds. So, probably I should set a goal that's a little slower than that as like an average pace across the whole thing. Because it is a long 15 minutes. You get 5 minutes in and you realize how long it's going to be. And then, the last 5 minutes fly by really fast.
Yeah,
so
no
it's
kidding.
easy to get lost in that middle ground. And that's just the kind of thing that keeps you, gives you something mentally to check in on.
Yeah. Well, great. Pat, thank you so much for your insight. Congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
And as a coach, I was very proud, kind of nervous in the middle, but knew that I knew your eyes were on Noah and that you were looking to kind of gain ground every minute, So it was great to watch you, and good luck for the rest of the Open.
Thank you. See you.
Awesome.